On the seller side, we've heard another story, which is how difficult it can be to actually get a product selling, especially a new product, if you don't have reviews on it, you have zero reviews. So, enrollment in Wine can lead up to 30% of sales lift, driven by increased discoverability, credibility, and conversion.
I'm Liz Downing, Senior Manager of Partnerships and Events at Takeometrics. We are sponsoring Amazon Accelerate 2023, and I am here live at the Summit Convention Center with my new friend, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Vine program. So first, tell me a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Vine, because I like to know the person's story before we actually talk about the program.
Yeah, absolutely, Liz. My name is Ami. I go by she, her. I've been at Amazon for a little over 7 years. I'm currently working as a senior manager of product in the brand experience and excellence org. In the 7 years that I've worked in Amazon, I've worked throughout in the selling partner services team. And this is because I absolutely love working for sellers, as I was telling you before. I've been an entrepreneur myself before coming to the US, so I can really resonate with the pain points of sellers, as well as see firsthand how when they succeed, feel like super fulfilled. So that's why I've been in this space. During my tenure over here, I've worked across a bunch of different programs, from listing tools to seller university, seller enforcement, and seller performance. And now I'm in the brand experience team. And I lead programs that basically help brands drive success on the Amazon stores. One of them is Vine, and which is why I'm here to talk about.
That's awesome. I share that passion for working with emerging sellers and sellers that are looking to accelerate and looking to find more success on Amazon. That's the most exciting part of the space for me. We work with brands of all sizes, but we share that passion. That's a lot of fun. So let's jump into the program itself, which is just one of your programs. But what is Vine all about?
Yeah. So before I answer that question, can I ask you, do you look at reviews when you shop online?
I do. And I actually like when I first got into the e-commerce space, I worked for a company that dealt specifically in monitoring product reviews, so customer reviews. So I think a lot about customer reviews, actually.
Yeah. So just like you, there are a lot of customers that think about product reviews. Product reviews are really important part of the customer shopping experience. They help customers not only understand which product is good for them to purchase, but also how a product works. Same way, product reviews help brands help with their discoverability, conversion, and credibility. So it's important for customers as well as brands. This is the reason why we launched the Amazon Wine program in 2007 for manufacturers and publishers, to give a way for them to get reviews and also help customers get more insights. And then we expanded it for all sellers as we have it right now in 2019, because we saw that there was benefit of giving reviews, especially for new products.
So how do sellers become eligible to participate in Vine, and how much does it cost?
The Wine program is open to any brand owner registered in the brand registry that has a professional selling account, and then the ASIN that they want to enroll should have an FBA offer on it and must have less than 30 ratings. So that's the eligibility requirements. In terms of cost, the price right now, or the enrollment fee, is $200, which is charged to them only after they receive the first review. And with this fee, the sellers can enroll up to 30 units, and they can get up to 30 reviews, depending on how many get claimed and reviewed. So that's the pricing structure. But I have good news for you, Liz. I want to share with you that we are launching in Q4 a completely new pricing structure. Some sellers gave us this feedback that we can add more flexibility into the Wine program. So we went back to the drawing board, looked at our pricing structure, heard the feedback loud and clear, and that's why we are launching this new pricing structure. And the new pricing structure will have 3 tiers now. The first tier will be an absolutely free tier, which will have basically an ability for sellers to enroll 0 to 2 units per ASIN. So that's a free tier, $0 fee. The second tier will be a $75 tier, which will be available for 3 to 10 units if they want to enroll. And then the final tier will be the $200 fee, which is the current fee. And in that, they can enroll between 11 to 30 units per ASIN.
So basically, a brand new brand on Amazon can enroll products in Vine with absolutely no risk whatsoever.
That's right.
So they can get started for free.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. I
That's the
think
intent.
great.
Yeah.
So how do Vine reviews actually move the needle, improve sales?
Yeah, so as we were talking, Liz, already that wine reviews in general help customers make an informed shopping decision. We've seen similar things in our studies as well as the feedback that we've received. In one external study, we saw that 79% of customers said that they trust reviews as much as recommendations from their family members and friends.
Wow.
So that's great. The other study also we've seen 9 out of 10 customers have actually told us that they look at reviews before making a purchase decision. So reviews are important. On the seller side, we've heard another story, which is how difficult it can be to actually get a product selling, especially a new product. If you don't have reviews on it, you have zero reviews, even with ads. And how getting reviews on a new product can dramatically change the productivity of an ASIN. So enrollment in wine can lead up to 30% of sales lift driven by increased discoverability, credibility, and conversion. So yeah.
That's amazing. And so now people can see that risk free.
Yeah, absolutely. And while wine can help with the initial sales, one thing to keep in mind is to have the longevity of the success for your ASINs, you must continue to invest in managing customer expectations and catalog, which I think great sellers would do.
Absolutely. There are all these great statistics about how reviews can help an ASIN, but those are positive reviews. And when you're enrolled in the Vine program and Vine Voices are reviewing your product, you're not necessarily guaranteed a positive review, right?
Yeah, that's right. We want authentic and fair feedback from reviewers, regardless of whether it's positive or negative. So we actually cannot guarantee the positive reviews. In fact, whether to give a review or not, when to give a review, and what's the nature of review is not at all influenced by us. And it completely depends upon the individual as well as different factors such as what's their preferences, what was their true experience with the product, and the time availability.
Well, and I get that that's really valuable to a brand that's, especially a brand that's emerging, because they need to make sure their products are exactly the word. But I imagine it's also very disappointing when they enroll and they end up getting a 2-star and they're like,
Yeah, I can tell you a couple of things that'll make you feel comfortable. One is that many sellers have actually told us that they find value in the wine program regardless of the nature of the reviews. Even in a recent survey, one of the sellers actually told us that they got balanced feedback from wine and they appreciated that a lot. The positive feedback highlighted that they had strengths in innovation and the quality of the product, so they could double down on that. And then the negative feedback highlighted that they need to work on the presentation and packaging of their product, which helped them before they could go to more customers, right? So from that sense, it was helpful. The other data point to keep in mind is wine reviews are more likely to be contain images as well as videos and also have more helpful words. Our job is to enable customers to see how great your product is because reviews is nothing but a representation of the voice of the customer.
So once someone enrolls in the program, how long does it generally take? I know I've talked to a couple brands lately that have said, "Oh, it's been 2 weeks," and I said, "Do you have to wait longer than 2 weeks? How long does it generally take to start getting the reviews?"
The average time it takes for the first wine review to come out of the program, on an average, looking at all the global stores we have for wine, is just 9 days.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but that depends on when the product was claimed and what is the type of product. So I'll give you an example. Some products are more technologically complex or have safety considerations or are just products that have multiple features that need to be fully vetted. So it does take time for the voice after they've received the product to fully experience the product and give a fair feedback. So once that's one thing. The other thing is once a review is submitted, on Amazon side as well, we evaluate that the feedback actually meets the quality guidelines as well as the review guidelines and policies in community shopping as well as wine. So that takes a little bit of time. And once we see that everything is good, we publish the reviews. And this is because we want to make sure sellers get trustworthy and fair feedback.
The way the pricing works, a seller enrolls a certain number of items in the program. If the product doesn't get the amount of expected reviews, do they get any kind of refund from the program, or does it carry over, or how does that work?
So sellers are only charged after their first review, and then sellers unfortunately cannot get refunds if they got reviews lesser than expected. But an interesting data point here is that on an average, we've seen for an ASIN enrolled, there are 19 reviews generated from the wine program per ASIN. So that tells you a little bit about the amount of feedback that we're typically generating on an average. Another thing to keep in mind, as I was telling you, the new pricing structure is coming. So let's say if you are a seller who wants to enroll fewer units per ASIN, that you can always go with the new pricing structure for a lower tier option or the cheaper option. So that ways you don't have to put a lot of units and you can still get the necessary reviews you wanted.
Vine reviews are written by Vine voices, and we're not going to talk a whole lot about that this time, but is there a way for a brand to reach out to their reviewer for more information? Like if someone left that really constructive feedback on your packaging isn't great, your box fell apart or whatever, is there a way for them to like reach out and get more information, or is that's the end of the communication?
So, protecting customer privacy as well as ensuring unbiased feedback from the program are of the highest priority to us. So, because of that reason, unfortunately, we cannot allow voices and selling partners to contact each other outside of the regular customer support.
So are all the Vine reviews free form, or can brand owners request that reviews be in a questionnaire format because they've got specific questions? Is that a way kind of around that? Or is it all just like a tell us, like everybody else can leave a review, it's just one big blank field?
Yeah, wine reviews are a free form reviews, just like any other regular retail reviews, and they follow the exact same guidelines and policies and format as regular retail reviews. We do this because we don't believe that adding constraints is the right thing, because adding constraints like giving a template, for example, would take away the unique voice and the experience of the customer. This also gives us a chance to make sure that your sellers get more personalized feedback rather than generalized feedback. And it also gives us an opportunity to ensure that the reviews are more detailed if there are explanations that needed to be given on the pros or cons.
So how do you, as the person who is running this program, how do you ensure the quality of those reviews? So I guess that's really kind of a question about like, how do you pick your Vine voices? But I'm not going to ask you that. But like, what kind of quality control do you have to do to make sure? I know we've talked about why they're freeform, why they're anonymous, all that kind of stuff. But what else can you tell me about making sure those are really quality reviews?
Yeah. Our topmost priority is that each and every review in the wine program is authentic and trustworthy. Because of that, we invest a lot of resources to ensure that they are high quality and trustworthy reviews. First of all, it's an invitation only program. You might know this. Wine is an invitation only program where we actually look at bunch of robust criteria which are based on customer trust parameters to invite only a handful of customers into the program. So they'll be like the quality customers who will give you the feedback. The second thing is, once they even come into the program and are joined the Wine Voice community, they need to review and comply with all the review guidelines and policies, both for Wine as well as the Amazon community guidelines. And then we are always monitoring and continuously evaluating, warning, and even banning bad actors and voices who don't comply with these policies and generate bad or inauthentic feedback.
So what should sellers keep in mind when they're selecting an ASIN to participate in the program? I know what I like to tell people, but it's nice to hear it from the top down. So I know packaging, what else?
Yeah, I think three things they should keep in mind. First is to ensure that the product is not a niche product. It's actually a product which can be used by mass audience. I'll tell you why. Because we have the Wine Voice community, which is very diverse, has different experiences, different usage patterns, diverse backgrounds, demographics. We want to ensure that we have holistic feedback. So that's our community, right? But on the flip side, if you have a product which is very specific car accessory for a very specific model, that may not be a right candidate for wine, because if you think about it, not everybody will have the base car model to begin with. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The second thing is the sample size. We do allow up to 30 units, but with the pricing structure and even right now, it's really up to the seller to make a thoughtful decision on how many units they want to enroll, what's the right number of reviews or units they're looking for. So for instance, if you have an expensive product, you may not be wanting to enroll as many units, but if it is a cheaper product, you may want to enroll more units. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And last but not the least, timing is critical. If you have an ASIN, the first thing you should do after launching an ASIN is to get it enrolled in Wine so that you start getting reviews early. So those are the three things I would say, like the topmost things to keep in mind.
Any kind of mechanism that's set up to just automatically enroll ASINs in the Vine program?
Well, we don't want the sellers to enroll directly in the wine program. I'll tell you why. One is that because we want to make sure that sellers can choose the exact ASIN that they want to. We just talked about how not every ASIN would be a good
Right.
candidate. And then the second thing is we want to ensure sellers can choose the right quantity. So they may want to choose one or more variations, or they may want to choose fewer units or more units depending on the product. So we just want to make sure sellers have that flexibility, which is why we want sellers to decide.
Sure. All right. So let's get personal again here at the end. What has been your favorite thing about working with this particular program, Amazon Vine?
Yeah, my most favorite thing about working with this program is I get to lead a really exciting program that impacts both brands as well as customers. I also really like working with my awesome team members. They're great people to work with. And then finally, in terms of just the body of work, every day is challenging and new and not boring and fine. One day you could be really dealing with tax and compliance escalations in one country. The other day could be how do you ensure you have the right pricing structure for sellers. The third day could be what are you doing with community trust and making sure that your reviews are really high quality. And then the fourth day could be just like working to ensure the productivity is good from the wine voices. So never a boring day, which is why I really like wine.
It sounds fun. Ami, thank you so much. It's been great spending this time with you. I think that the Vine program is something that every brand should try. But we'll look out for that information coming from Vine in Q4. Thanks everyone for listening, and don't forget to enroll your products in Amazon Vine.